This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. This is Binghamton Now for Monday, August 12th, 2024. This program is live and it's local. We have no scripts. We have no agenda. We only have a microphone and a telephone. The number is 607-772-1290. Go ahead and make that call. WNBF. As we take to the air on this Monday morning, it is my pleasure to say hello. Welcome to a brand new week with WNBF, where news breaks first. The people who are here for you. No AI on this program as of this moment. If that changes, you'll probably be able to tell. Oh, it's funny. It's starting to sound better. It must be they have suddenly infused it with 3% artificial intelligence. 607-772-1290 is the number if you'd like to participate. Hope you had a good weekend and hope the issues from Friday, Friday with the rain and some of the wind, power outages, and more. Hope that did not cause too many problems for you. I'm sure it caused some problems for some people, but at least here, mainly in the Binghamton area, it certainly wasn't quite as severe as some people had feared. But depending on what you actually experienced, you're potentially even now trying to clean up a mess or trying to put things back together. So whatever the situation is, we wish you the best. This week, the weather is apparently going to be quite a bit different. So that's encouraging. It's nice to have a week of relatively calm weather, bit of tranquility based on the current forecast as we await Ernesto and see what sort of havoc Ernesto can bring to the wide world of weather. It's really pleasant right now here in the Binghamton area. I'm enjoying it. I'm making several stops, starting my week at various places, asking a few questions, making a few observations, taking notes, and trying to devise sort of a journalistic strategy as we start the new week. I've got a few stories that are in the works, so we will see what happens. And of course, with the possibility, the never-ending possibility of breaking news, we'll see what develops throughout the day right here around the region. We didn't have much of an opportunity last week to discuss the concepts of these micro apartments. I find the idea interesting, intriguing. I don't know if this proposal will ultimately receive approval from the city. In case you weren't paying attention last week, we reported that Charles Ackerman would like to acquire 4 properties that are owned by the city on the west side. He wants to develop a 36-unit apartment complex, but these are not your typical apartments. This will not be confused at all for the project at 50 Front Street, for example, or some of the other housing projects that have been developed in the area over the last decade or so, whether it's market rate housing or student housing. These apartments are in a different class. They're micro apartments, 150 square feet. So think about that. Imagine, if you will, It's the simplest way to describe it. A space 10 feet by 15 feet. That's 150 square feet. So the concept or the premise behind the ultra-low income apartment project is that it could provide housing for those who are currently homeless, people described as unhoused. Ackerman told WNBF News he's prepared to finance this project himself. He says he thinks it would cost about $1.4 million, which in terms of 2024 dollars is not much for a project. These days, $1 million doesn't get you much, but about $1.5 million he believes would be sufficient. And he also believes that site on Charlotte Street, which is just south of the railroad tracks. If you know where Jarvis Street is, which is now closed because of the Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge reconstruction project. So think about where that railroad underpass is, and Charlotte Street is the street closest to the railroad bridge. If you were coming from Main Street from the area of Danny's Diner and you traveled a short distance north on Jarvis Street, a street where you now make a left turn because of the closed underpass, that's Charlotte Street. So it's not a long street. It has a long history, a colorful history. And in recent years, things haven't been going well in that neighborhood. It's always been basically generally a low-income industrial neighborhood. And then in recent years, there have been issues due to fires and assaults. One of the most serious assaults of a Binghamton University student happened on Charlotte Street. So usually in the last couple of decades, if Charlotte Street was in the news, it wasn't usually for anything positive. But these three lots on Charlotte Street, 35, 37, 39, and 41, I guess that's 4 lots. So 35 through 41, that's the section currently owned by the city that Mr. Ackerman is hoping to acquire. So we'll see what happens. 9:18 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bob. It's John from Binghamton. How are you this morning?
Never better. Looking forward to this week. I have great expectations.
Yeah, you sound like you're in a good mood.
I'm in a great mood. Thank you for noticing. I wasn't sure if that extremely positive mood would translate over the air, but you're very, very observant.
Yes, on this chicken coop proposal, this human chicken coop proposal, the average hotel room is 325, 40 square feet. So it's half a hotel room. Now, I don't care where the hotel is and what the view is. Anybody who has stayed in a nice hotel after a while, and no matter how nice the bathroom is, no matter how much marble is in the shower, it gets a little bit sickening very quick, even if you're having a good time. This is a place where people can go and shoot drugs. This is an ugly eyesore and should not be constructed. Now, I've heard that it's called temporary housing. Well, when's it going to be demolished? You know what I mean? This is sick. Binghamton doesn't need to be junked up anymore. This guy's going to put these out. I thought I heard you say $30,000 a unit.
Yeah, I guess that's what it would work out to.
Yeah, well, that's not believable. But let me tell you something: you'll be able to hear your neighbors up and down, loud and clear.
Well, maybe some people like that. I mean, now let me go on the record. This is definitely not the place for me. So I want that stipulated right at the outset, as much as at some point I might be looking to downsize. I don't want to downsize to that level, 150 square feet, because for me, I'm claustrophobic. Seems to me, I haven't actually, I should have done, and maybe if I can find a measuring device, I'll figure out what the what the measurements are of this studio. I get the sense that this radio studio is not much smaller than the proposed size of the micro apartments.
Why would you think you're doing people a favor by doing this? I mean, it's going to have micro rents,
Well, I mean, so, and I've talked with Mr. Ackerman off the air. Maybe sometime I'll invite him on the air. I mean, he seems, for one thing, what he explained at the work session, I think this was it at a city council work session, or maybe it was at the meeting of the council's planning committee. Essentially, what his take on this was, and I didn't include this in the article because I was trying to keep the story length down to a certain point, but his stipulation was this is something really that ought to be done by the government anyway, to at least help to better address the homelessness situation that in the last few years in our area clearly has gotten a lot worse than it used to be. So it seems to me his point is that it would be better not for a private developer to come up with something that would be temporary housing. He's not, as far as I could tell from many of his public statements, either in front of city council, I think at a work session, or the planning committee, he's not extolling this as a place where most people will want to live. His point, I think, was at least it may provide an alternative compared to living outdoors in dangerous conditions. The other thing he pointed out, I believe you could probably confirm this. I think he said Broome County is spending about $7 million a year on motel rooms for homeless individuals and families. So
that's true,
right.
But that doesn't. By the way, there's a video of him on YouTube welcoming Andrew Giuliani to Binghamton. It's quite something. He's quite the political activist, this guy. Didn't a couple years ago you do a story on a building on State Street that he was supposed to remodel and redevelop? I think it was an art gallery, and he was going to put apartments above it, and now I guess it's just for sale for $1.2 million.
You're talking 229 State Street?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's been remodeled, though, right?
Oh, has it?
Well, 229 State Street, I believe that's the building at the corner of State and Lewis. So maybe you're talking about another. I think there might be another building on State Street, but I'm not recalling it. I'm not instantly recalling.
You did this story in 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now. Yes, Art Studios Gallery Apartments planned for Binghamton. So that was April 2022. Yeah, 209 and 211 State Street. And because I know, I don't think that he ever acquired that. And be honest, I think I did a single story with no follow-up, but it seemed like the concept had potential. The problem, John, you can attest to this. Look back over the last 20, 30, 40 years of how many developers. Remember that? Who was that whiz kid? The whiz kid. This goes back to the Bucci administration. That he was. I'm sure his intentions were good, but when the road to Hallstead is paved in good intentions, and he ultimately got himself a very favorable article in the New York Times, and I know Mayor Bucci was excited. Heck, I felt some of the excitement too for the transformation he was going to do with those big depot, the old whatever those buildings were next to the railroad tracks, the big brick buildings, and of course, he's no longer. Who knows where he is? But he's long forgotten about Binghamton.
He's a motivational speaker now. He's got one of these headsets.
It's good for him. It's better than being a talk show host.
Yeah. I just wanted just two quick things. Mayor Bucci was very naive. I mean, this guy, if a guy came in with spats and a joy buzzer and had a scheme, Bucci would get on the radio the next day. So he was very, very naive. And I don't say that as criticism, but that's...
Well, or one could also say, well, maybe it was trying to, in a time of perhaps general hopelessness, was trying to cheer somebody on who at least came up with an idea. The problem, and at least I acknowledge when I talk about ideas, ideas are a dime a dozen. Give me $1, I'll give you 120 ideas, but I will at least tell you up front, I have no money to make those ideas ever become reality. I'm an idea guy, but I have no financing, and I think that ultimately might have been one of the things that happened with all the excitement involving that young. Is he a Binghamton University graduate? I don't.
No. The connection was his father ran the art gallery that sold those.
Oh, that's right.
Paintings.
Okay.
What I call paint by numbers, but that was a very cruel thing to say.
I know. I don't want to reopen that can of worm today. Maybe later in the week.
Yeah. Let me just say this: the Vestal taxpayers. I hope they've got a stuffed wallet, a big mutual fund account, and maybe a safe in their basement, because they are about to get the mother of all taxes, its increases. To do this, the Vestal Town Board is going to talk about it tonight and then schedule a public hearing, a very quick public hearing. They're going to schedule it. They're going to buy the ad, I think, by August 15th. And this undoes, their legislation would undo the general municipal law on the tax levy cap. So, in addition to these, the new fire department zone tax, special taxing district, the Vestal taxpayers are about to really see how much their government is going to cost them. And this shows that when those reassurances were made that Vestal finances were in order and everything was good, and this was misinformation that was circulating. It's not misinformation. The tax levy cap will now become history, and they will be able to raise taxes as far as they can go, which is unlimited.
Well, I guess the only thing I would say about that, you seldom hear any town of Vestal resident ever complain about any aspect of local government. If they have complaints, they focus more on state and national issues. Have you noticed that? I mean, people who live elsewhere in our area may actually have some concerns or complaints with their local government. Could be Binghamton, maybe Johnson City, Endicott, some of the towns. Not Vestal, though. Almost everybody who calls from Vestal is laser focused on non-local issues, which leads me to believe they have lots of money, that they don't care how high their tax rate goes.
Well, there's a point, because you could say the same thing about Lansing, New York. And there's a point where even the well-heeled revolt, and I think that this is going to be quite a shock to people, because now their assessments are very, very high, and they're about to get it. The bird of tax paradise is coming down, as Johnny Carson would say.
Well, it's going to be, as they say, it's going to be an interesting few months for the people of the town of Vestal. I think they would do well to buckle up. It's 9:30, WNBF Binghamton. Bob Joseph with you. It's Monday morning. What's on your mind? 607-772-1290. We would love to hear from you. Express your thoughts. Ask a few questions. Let's get this week going on the right note with Binghamton Now, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. Binghamton Now, moving forward, looking forward to what happens later today, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and of course Friday as we get set for the weekend. What? The weekend just barely ended, and you're going on about the weekend. Here's the forecast from the National Weather Service. Mostly sunny today, a chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, high 72. Partly cloudy tonight, low 56. Some patchy fog developing before dawn tomorrow, continuing for a few hours into the morning. Then tomorrow will be mostly sunny, high 77. Wednesday sunny, high 81. Right now, 62 in downtown Binghamton, 17 Celsius, and the air is pristine. The air quality index is 22. The air has been surprisingly breathable this summer. We may have had our share of storms, heavy downpours, sometimes winds, tornadic activity, microbursts, and who knows what. But in terms of the air quality, it's been quite good so far. Stunningly good. So go ahead and breathe. I was on Main Street in Johnson City the other day talking with a business owner, somebody who's had a business in Johnson City for many years. Before that, his business was in Binghamton. And he's hoping somebody will come along and buy the old bank building, the Workers' Trust building. Maybe you remember when it was Marine Midland Bank, the building where the Johnson City offices had been located for many years. Now it's on the market, and as they say, as is, $5 million if you have, wait a second, $500,000. Somebody just almost drove into a pole when I said $5 million. Now, the asking price is $500,000. So you can take a look at that story. If you're interested in a very solid building with a very, very large vault and with a door on the vault that probably weighs 2,500 pounds, maybe 3,000 pounds, that could be the building for you. It's 9:37 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Gary from the South Side.
Good morning.
Good morning. I spent the weekend doing some fact checking, looking into Project 2025. And I want to tell you, I'm really scared to death about this deal. But if you allow me, I'd like to read a couple of things that they're going to end.
Well, be short. You give me two or three main things that concern you the most about Project 2025.
Okay, let me just say, it starts off with tax breaks for the 1%, ending the no-fault divorce, ending affordable health care, complete ban on abortion. FCC control, this might interest you, goes directly to the president. FCC is going to be abolished, and the president is going to have all your licenses in his desk, and he's going to determine, who.
J.D. Vance could control the licensing of WNBF?
No, the president. the president.
Well, J.D. Vance ultimately would be president if it goes a certain way. So you're telling me that the Federal Communications Commission, my favorite commission, by the way, of all the federal agencies, the FCC has always been my favorite. So you're telling me that the power that the FCC has had for several decades would be transferred over to the executive branch?
To the president. Nobody else, not the executive. Right straight to the president's desk. He is going to control exactly whose licenses get revoked.
So whose idea is this? So ultimately, what you're telling me, that if Project 2025 goes through as currently envisions, ultimately, a President Trump could revoke the license of my favorite radio station.
That's correct. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what Project 2025 says. But it also says cuts in Social Security, end of climate protections, cutting Medicare, defund the FBI and Homeland Security, banning education around gender identity, limiting contraceptives, including regulating IVFs, Muslim ban 2.0, eliminate worker protections, raising the retirement age, raising prescription drug costs, eliminate Department of Education, African American gender education is going to be eliminated. They're going to ban books about slavery, and they're going to use the military to break up protests. And they're going to end ending birthright citizenship, and eliminate the FDA, the EPA, and the NOAA. That's well documented.
Right, that's the National Weather Service. So where are we going to get our weather from? AccuWeather?
Well, I don't know. I guess you'll have to look out the window.
I'll have to subscribe to the Weather Channels.
Well, that may be gone too. Who knows if they, say anything negative? But Trump was mentioned 161 times in those documents in that 2025. So he can't pretend he doesn't know anything about it. Okay, because he is mentioned in there many, many times as an executor of to pull off this project.
But many times he's gone online to say he has nothing to do with it. He's disavowed. Essentially, my recollection is Donald Trump has disavowed any direct or indirect involvement with the architects of Project 2025.
His name is mentioned in the document.
Well, anybody could. I could come up with a document and mention his name. That doesn't mean he had anything to do with it. It's
the 2025 document. It's the printed document. It's online, whatever. So anyhow, he also, another fact check, he lied 162 times during that press conference he had, and that was awful nice of the media to give him an hour of time on there without any fact checking. But I suppose that's how the media operates. I know.
But Kamala Harris could get the same amount of time. When's the last time she held a news conference?
I don't think they gave her anything.
No, because she hasn't held a news conference. When Kamala Harris holds a news conference like Donald Trump did, she'll get as much time as she wants. If she wants to talk and answer questions from reporters for an hour or 3 hours, she'll get the same kind of coverage. Why won't she hold a news conference?
Trump had not held a news conference for 11 months.
Right, which is why he got the coverage he did. His news conference was news. That's why it got live coverage. And you can't cover a live event and keep interrupting it, especially with a guy who has a penchant for prevarication. You'd be stopping it every 8 seconds and say, lie. You can't do that. You got to let it unfold in real time. Then afterwards, whether it's your organization or other news outlets, then they do the fact checking. You can't stop something, a news conference in real time and do fact checking.
No, well, Lawrence O'Donnell would differ with you. He did a thing on YouTube. He is very upset how he said we got widescreen now. They can put those fact checkings right across the scroll like they do everything else. It was not a big deal. They could have done it, but they didn't do it. But also
if Lawrence O'Donnell thinks so much of doing it, why didn't he do it? He has a computer. He could set up a Lawrence O'Donnell Truth website. If he thinks it's that easy, A, if it's that easy, and maybe it is that easy, and if he thinks there's a market for it, if he thinks that people want to enjoy any kind of a live news conference with real-time fact-checking, Lawrence O'Donnell should set it up. Come on, man.
Well, first of all, it wasn't a news conference. There was no question and answer. And in fact, he lied 162 times in an hour. I mean,
well, how come he didn't make it to 200? Was he having a bad day?
well, I guess he's having a bad day every day now. So, I'm just giving you the facts. I don't know what you can do what you want with them, okay? But these are facts. So that's all I'm portraying here.
All right. Well, I'm not. Okay. You make it sound as though I should be surprised. Why would I be surprised that this guy would lie 162 times in an hour? Why would he change? Why would he change now? The best thing about him, and I've said this from the beginning, going back decades, back when he was known only primarily in New York City as a short-fingered vulgarian. I mean, those days, as a short-fingered vulgarian real estate developer from Queens with a penchant for calling the New York Post to talk about his love life so it could be on the front page of tomorrow morning's tabloid. Aside from that, we took him for what he was. He was just a self-promoter. There's nothing wrong with that. America has been filled with self-promoters for over 2 centuries.
Well, I think you said he's Belgium. I think his name was Von Schützenpants back in...
All right. That's wrong. Come on, man. I can't even laugh at that because I'll get in trouble. Right, Jerry? Wait, hold on.
No.
I can't even laugh at that, right? No, that was wrong.
I can, but I'm not
No,
going
you
to.
can't.
No.
Don't.
No. I want my jobs.
I want my jobs.
Yeah.
Well, kind
because
of.
I'm it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Did you hear that? But that was on the air. Everything was going well up to a point.
Well,
and then, it's like
life.
I'm gonna have to put that in his permanent file.
Yeah.
You give a person an inch and he takes a mile.
Yeah. I was having a battle outside with the parking meters because they won't take cash.
What?
They will not accept paper money. Only coins.
It says that your
or
cash
credit card.
It said, my theory has always been in America. This is America. Cash is king.
Yeah. Well, I tried two. One across the street and one right next.
And they won't take cash?
No. I'm so used to just know. And it said transaction failed. Gave me back my dollar bill.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have taken your dollar bill and said, sorry, does not compute.
Yes,
you don't get a parking slip.
But luckily, I had lots of coinage.
Oh, it did take coins?
It takes coins and credit cards.
Well, of course, credit cards. I always use credit cards because I want to be able to track how much money I've lost parking in Binghamton.
And the total would be astounding.
Shocking.
Yes.
But I view it as an investment in a better future.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why they have such big holiday parties at City Hall.
Because every month for 40 years when I paid my monthly parking fee, working downtown to one parking lot or another, toward the end, toward the library, because we who parked there, because we who won the lottery for the 6 parking spots that there were, had to pay a monthly parking fee.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, we didn't get free parking until we moved into the new building.
Yeah.
And then they didn't know how to do it, so they just let us park.
They didn't. I like that. They didn't know how to do it. Well,
I don't work for them anymore, so I can say
that's
that.
right. You're now.
I still work for some entities, so
be careful.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
I've had
be careful.
Many comments and texts and things over the last few days. Yes.
Sure you have.
Yes.
Tread gingerly.
Yes.
You know me, I have nothing bad to say.
Oh, absolutely.
About anyone. That's what I've advised people, by the way, over the last couple of weeks. Some people have said, so here's what I plan to do. And then I say, well, that is a plan, but hold on before you press send.
Yes. For those who get calls from certain people saying, have you heard anything about this?
No.
Nope.
Anyway, well, what this means, of course, for people who are close followers of the morning of the program,
Well, the morning, which leads to the afternoon, which leads to the evening. Yes.
And then eventually the weekend.
Yes.
It's only 4 days till
You're
the
going
weekend.
to get that to the weekend, aren't you? Okay, I heard you coming in.
Yeah, we're
going, wow,
almost
he's really
there.
pushing that week. It's only Monday,
I was
folks.
going to say, it's like...
Now, normally I used to be on Fridays, and that would make sense, but it's only Monday, folks.
Times have changed. Okay,
Yeah.
coming up next hour, a powerful 60 minutes. Wait a second. People would say, but it's never 60 minutes. It's closer to
47
about
minutes and
47
20
minutes.
seconds, yeah.
So with Jerry Smith, the legend,
Yes.
coming up on WNBF. Binghamton Now. Binghamton Now continues on a Monday morning.
And back to normalcy.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's back to normal. What is normal
Well,
after all?
with us, not much. It's a very low threshold.
Have you been to the library lately over there at 185?
No.
Really? Okay. You should stop in and see what they did.
Oh. Was it something amazing?
You have to stop in to see what
Okay.
they did. Why would I spoil the fun?
I don't know. I go there for meetings on occasion.
Maybe stop in.
Yeah.
Maybe you and I, after the program today, maybe around 12:15, we'll stop in and see if Roger Luther's there. He might be.
He and I have a meeting together shortly after that, so probably not.
Wait, today?
Yeah. We have a
Really?
meeting at Robertson at 1 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll have to ask him.
Why,
It's going to be a short meeting, but
I ran into somebody today, and they invited me to a meeting.
at 12:15.
No, tomorrow.
Oh.
So I have
You
a
just
meeting.
wanted to get a head start.
I have a meeting planned for tomorrow, not at the library.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm not going
All
to
right.
tell you where it is.
Fine.
This person said, well, so what we get together once a week, and somebody had said we should ask you to come to the meeting, and I was like, well, do you think that's really a good thing? And so I might go to the meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
It's always
I've
always
heard-
nice when
yeah.
people are actually, in this day and age, when usually the only thing you hear is a nonstop barrage of negativity, when you actually are greeted with positivity and someone says, we've been talking about asking you to come to our meeting, it's
Right.
like, wait a second. Wait just a cut. This is Monday morning. It isn't. Week isn't supposed to start off on such a positive note, but it did. So
Yeah.
it's, and to boot, the weather is nice. Did you notice how nice the weather
I
is?
noticed that.
Thanks to Dave Nicosia, he actually brought in some technicians.
I see.
Late Friday, and they got their weather machine high atop Mount Ettrick fixed. So it looks like the weather machine is fixed for at least a week.
Well, for those of us who are watching the storm in Owego and wondering how high, people down there, rightly so, get extremely nervous.
Understandably. All right. Well, coming up next, we will have the latest news from ABC, see what exactly they've put together, then local news, and then we'll talk history on WNBF. This is WNBF's Binghamton Now on a Monday morning, and I'm Bob Joseph, along
With Jerry Smith.
my trusty sidekick.
That's right. Once
And-
a month.
And the point is that we will focus on history for the next hour. Our number, the History Hotline,
Is area code 607-722-12. No, 772. Just
Don't worry, we'll edit that blunder out of the West Coast feed.
I've already said this about a million times.
I know.
It's what is it? I just blanked out. It's 1290 at the end.
Yeah. Allow me.
Yeah, why don't you please? You are the host.
Operators are not standing by. We
No.
can't afford operators.
No, because they would miss that call because it's the wrong number.
years ago we had operators standing by, but then they threatened to walk out because we wouldn't buy them chairs. So we're doing it operator free.
Yep.
The number is 607-772-1290. Call in now or forever hold your phone. Your device.
They could email you too.
Oh, yes. By the way, the topic. People always say, what is
Yes.
the hot topic of the show?
We have a topic.
This is
Careful.
because I was about to give the topic. You think I was going to say a bad word.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to get fired on a Monday.
No.
If I must walk out early, it's going to be on a Thursday.
The topic is shopping centers.
So we are going to tell you everything you need to know about Binghamton area shopping centers.
That's right. Even if we don't know it, we'll make it up and make it sound reasonable.
Well, and that's why we have you,
because I can make it up and make it sound reasonable.
You can. I've seen it.
Yes.
I've seen it with my own eye.
Me too.
So if you have a phone or some other device where you can communicate with us, 607-772-1290, if you know anything about local shopping centers.
From even before the Binghamton Plaza. If you can think of one before the Binghamton Plaza, dial in. Or if not,
what
just
year?
call.
What year was was Binghamton incorporated as a city?
1867.
Okay, so we won't go back any further from 1867 to 2024.
Yeah,
that's
a long
all
time.
We're going to cover.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you know something about shopping centers in the area before 1867, wait till next month.
Okay.
That's when our new team starts.
Yes.
Anyway, without further ado, Mr. Smith has a few things to call to your attention.
Yes, I do. Since I am now the paid executive director of the Tioga County Historical Society, I'll do our monthly programs. We have the Catatonk Woodcarvers Association has set up a display, and they're providing demonstrations of wood carving techniques on Saturday, August 17th, and again on Saturday, August 24th. Times to be announced because we're going to have several demonstrations each day. So watch our Facebook page for that. And then at 4 o'clock on Sunday, the August 25th, we have a recital of clarinet and piano called Summer's Sweet Solos. And they are both extremely good musicians, and it's all free and open to the public because we want to get as many different audiences in there as possible. Because it gives me something to do during the whole week and plan and put stuff out. Plus everything else I do, like pay bills and such.
Administrative chores.
Yeah, but that's not the fun stuff.
Right. As most job descriptions say, additional tasks as necessary.
Absolutely. That was on every civil service. Other duties as assigned.
Yeah. It's kind of like here.
Yeah.
See, when I started at WNBF, the only duty I had two things I needed to do. One, write great news stories.
Yeah.
Easy. Two, do great newscasts. A little more challenging, but somehow.
And you keep trying.
I won't give up.
No.
But in addition, the list of responsibilities, though, compared to when I started.
Oh, yeah.
If I only knew.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, running a museum and historic study, how hard can that be? And I realized, there's a lot of different moving parts.
There are.
Because I'm about 2 weeks behind putting out our third edition of our newsletter. We're about ready to send out electronic listserv to all of our members of news and announcements. So stay tuned. We're working our way into the 21st century. Even though we do history, we look forward to the future.
And do you have, because you are also known for doing things like history walks and other events here in Broome County, do you have anything in the works?
Why? Actually, I do. Wait, I have to look it up. For those who want to learn about Broome County history, I'm teaching my Broome County history course for SUNY Broome Continuing Ed. It'll run Thursdays starting at 6 from September 19th through October 17th. That's $89 a person. If you go onto their website or call them on their telephone number, you can sign up for that. And then on Sunday, October 27th, I'm doing my tour of Spring Forest Cemetery as part of our usual cemetery tour before Halloween. So, because I just got done doing, I did 3 weekly walking tours in the 90-degree temperature. So this will be a little bit cooler. One's going to be inside a classroom, and one will be in October, when we always tell people, dress according to the weather.
About 4 years ago,
Yeah.
I and a friend, in the early stages, the first weeks of COVID, when you really
I recall.
Yeah,
yes.
You really weren't allowed to do much of anything. So one of the first things we did, I'm not recalling if it was on a weekday Could have been a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. So we stopped over at Spring Forest Cemetery.
Yeah.
And we gave ourselves a tour, and it was interesting because of so many familiar names.
Oh, yes.
Basically, an early history of the Binghamton area, just looking at the names of people who are buried at Spring Forest Cemetery. And then you can also recall, because after we had been there for 2 or 3 hours, we called you because
Yes, you
who
did.
were we looking for? We were looking for a specific...
Wasn't Isaac Perry?
Who was it? Because I remember telling my friend, I said, well...
It wasn't David Ireland or Daniel Dickinson or Joshua Whitney or... Because they're all there.
Right. But there was one...
Yes, it was.
That
and I
was
don't recall who
elusive,
it was.
And we even spoke...
I didn't know where it was because it wasn't part of my usual route through the cemetery.
And then... Actually, shortly afterwards, we wound up speaking with a woman who volunteers. She's sort of a person who really helps take care of that sprawling cemetery. And she gave us some guidance, and whatever specifically we were looking for. It's strange that it's not coming to me. But anyway, we eventually found it. But yeah, one of these days, I'm going to go on a walking tour with you. The biggest problem with me going on a walking tour is to just listen to the guide as opposed to offering
interjecting.
Mhm.
Yes, I have
Because-
people who know me well, and they all want to talk along with me, and that's not a problem. But sometimes I feel like saying, "Let me get out my spiel," and because I've got kind of a routine here.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want
But those are always fun. I tend to dress in Victorian garb, wearing the top hat and such, because it lets me play, and that's what we like doing. And teaching the course, I don't dress up in Victorian garb. I dress up like a normal teacher. Although coming from work, I will come straight from Owego to SUNY Broome campus, so I will probably be dressed in my suit and tie, which is
your strawberry red suit with your little strawberry tie, because
Yes.
you work in Owego.
That's right. I haven't got one yet.
Strawberry.
We sold bottles of water during the Strawberry Festival this year because it was hot out, and we made like $150 some just for people donating to get bottles of water.
See? That was a good
And
idea.
now our board president wants us to have a float in the parade.
A strawberry float.
Something history related.
All right. Anything else coming up that you'd like to call attention?
No, that's good enough for me for now.
All right.
That gets me through the fall for the moment.
All right. 607-772-1290. Coming up, an exhaustive review of the shopping center scene.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In
I
the
snorted into the microphone.
the
there.
greater Binghamton Metroplex from 1867 through 2024.
Yeah.
And then
We might cut out a century of that, but that's okay. And
Well,
then,
we'll see.
but I'll throw out some names: Westons, Stars, Service Merchandise, Barkers, Ames, Kings,
Jamesway.
Jamesway.
Oh, what was that other one?
That-
Phillies.
Oh well, I don't know
We'll
if
talk
it's a
about
shopping
Phillies.
We'll talk about
Well,
Phillies.
they were in shopping centers, a couple. So
that's true. That's true.
So they will qualify.
Yeah.
So
Grandway. We got so many. Just call in, folks.
call in and win.
Yeah, you win our pride and admiration.
You know, and up to 30 uninterrupted seconds. Well, okay, let's correct that. Up to 30 seconds of broadcast time. Will your 30 seconds be interrupted? Well,
We'll see.
what do you think? Say odds are, yes.
With the two of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Why
pretty
not?
good.
It's 10:21. This is Bob Joseph with Jerry Smith on News Radio WNBF. Binghamton Now. Our guest in the studio is historian Gerald Smith, along with your facilitator, Robert Joseph. 607-772-1290. The topic is shopping centers.
Yeah.
Jerry, in your view,
Yeah.
what would constitute the first real shopping center in Broome County?
I would probably have to say Binghamton Plaza.
That's what I would say, too.
Yep. Built on top of the old city dump.
Stowe Flats.
Stowe Flats. opened up in, I want to say 1963.
I think
it's 62 or 63.
I
think it's 63.
63. I think the planning or the construction was
going before that, but it opened up with a Grandway, which was connected to a Grand Union, and then further down was Grant's. You had Hamlin's Drugstore. There was a variety of other shops. There was a restaurant in between, is it the Mahogany Room? Was that the original one? You had a freestanding across the road was one of the, not the first, it was the second, I know, folks. McDonald's in the area.
Right, because the original McDonald's was on the Parkway in Vestal.
Yes, yep. They beat them out by about 2 months.
Yep.
But that was, to my mind, the first one. And, of course, after that, there's a string of them going up. Some in Vestal, of course, Endicott had the Endicott Plaza.
Which, the thing about the Endicott Plaza, it was developed by the same people out of New Jersey who did the Binghamton Plaza.
Yes.
Same family.
Once again, on an old dump site.
Yeah.
So they reclaimed. So, and my question to the listeners out there, I know the phone calls are coming, at Campus Plaza, that's where Olam's is today, there was a freestanding restaurant right where Applebee's is now, on that pod or parcel, whatever you want to call it. What was the name of it? Because I can't remember. It's not Pancho's Pit, but it's similar to Pancho's Pit. And my question is, because that was the first place I ever had a Speedy, and it was a lamb Speedy.
Yeah, which now you can't obtain
and this
in
would
any
be
restaurant.
Like 1974 or 75, somewhere in there.
Oh, the Villa.
Oh, yes.
I looked it up. I cheated.
See?
Sorry, I cheated.
No, that's not fair.
Well,
you're right. It's the Villa.
But I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to be twisting.
Was that
agony.
a Yacovelli?
I
sure
believe
it was. I think it was.
It was a Yacovelli restaurant. I'm looking at a newspaper ad.
Between Guido and Carlo, they had a lot of restaurants in this community.
Look at this. So here's the thing. They had an advertising feature in the paper, delicious. And because having eaten there many times, it was delicious Italian food to eat there or take out at the Villa. Eat, drink, and be merry at the Villa. Discover the newest idea in eating out Italian style at the Villa, located in the Campus Plaza.
Right.
It could very well be what all of the area's Italian food fans have been looking for. If you have not yet visited the Villa, make plans to do so soon.
And what year is that?
That was in 1968.
Okay. All right.
So
that
there you
all
go.
works
There
right
you
in
go.
our time scheme.
And for those who doubted our memories, Guido D. Iacovelli, owner of the Villa, recently announced he is establishing a second one. This is the one I know best because I was living near there at the time in the Union District of Endicott on Nanacoke Avenue, 113 Nanacoke Avenue.
Okay. Yes.
One time when it was no longer the Villa, it had become some other restaurant. And I think I was traumatized. I wish I had a camera back then. This was before cell phones, so I didn't have a camera. I was traumatized. They served me the biggest baked potato I've ever seen. You know on TV how they used to have a kid called Mr. Potato Head?
Yes.
So this potato, I'm looking at it going, where'd you grow this? 3 Mile Island? I mean, it looked like it was a potato.
It was an Idaho potato, probably.
An Idaho potato, except, weight. It's like, this is enough to feed an army.
Yeah.
And everybody's laughing at me because they knew that I didn't particularly like baked potatoes to begin with.
Uh-oh.
So
what's wrong with you?
So I think that it was staged. It was some sort of twisted stunt by a bunch of people who think that sort of thing's funny. It wasn't funny.
Well, I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, you would. You would. Yeah, here I'm looking for someone to show a little support
Compassion?
Decades later.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
compassion.
I'm sorry for your hurt feelings.
So
but
anyway.
the potato people were really happy
yeah.
they sold that potato.
There's nothing.
And Guido was happy. Well, no, it wasn't Guido at the time.
No, if Guido had operated, he would understand. He would know, Bob, we understand that you have some sort of phobia about baked potatoes. So here,
Potato phobia,
have
okay.
this little mini baked potato with this little dollop of Crowley sour cream and some salt and pepper, and you'll do just well.
Yeah.
But, this was, after... This
So
is
the Villa.
post-Villa. So,
All right.
Well, we got that.
But that's Campus Plaza, and Campus Plaza opened up in Vestal, and its original main store was Stars.
Oh, and...
Which was a franchise. I mean, it was a...
Yeah, it was a chain.
Chain.
And trying to think, because that was
And
60s.
That's right.
And, I remember, because I did some history, even then, the people who ran Stars, you know how sometimes we hear about people getting in trouble, like
Yes.
with
Yep.
the zoning people? The first story that pops up about Stars, they got in trouble because, remember, they had a really big sign.
Oh, yes, they
Yeah,
did.
with the letters.
Yes.
5 letters beginning with S and ending with S. And they thought it would be clever to put this big sign up, but they never bothered to get approval for the sign.
Oops.
And it was in violation of Vestal's sign ordinance. So that was one of the first things. So it goes to show that, hey, even back then, it was 1962. You should see the crowd.
See, that's 62. So maybe did
Well,
that beat
I don't
Binghamton
know.
Plaza? Now we're going to have to check.
Now there's controversy,
Oh,
which
we've made our own controversy right here.
makes you wonder if that was planned that way. The cynical listeners, the conspiracy theorists, are going to say, wait, you guys...
I just think it's developers who didn't bother to check.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Let's take a call.
Please.
Good morning. WNBF, you're on the air with Bob and Jerry.
Man, oh man, you guys are bringing back the old school times.
Yeah, the good times.
Yeah.
This is Jesse from Owego. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Gerald and Robert. How you doing today?
We're doing fine.
Can't ask for better than that.
Nope.
Now, what we had here in Owego, the CVS, that used to be the A&P store,
Right.
and then across the street is Walgreens, that used to be the Grand Union.
Yes.
And there's a pretty funny story with the Grand Union. They had a dumpster in the back, their trash can. It's an automatic thing. You put your trash in, and that's hydraulically worked and all that. And the funniest thing about that is it broke down, and it took like 4, if I remember, 5 different electricians to check that thing out, and they still couldn't get it going. And all it turned out to be is no one ever pushed the reset button.
Ha! I always love
remember
when it's that simple, when something that simple, and you bring in teams of experts, and then somebody says, by the way, did anybody ever push the reset button? And everybody looks around and say, why don't we do that? They push it, and then suddenly like, okay, everyone,
It works.
we're through.
I remember the manager, Mr. Fabby. He was so ticked off. He's like, I can't believe this. I've hired so many people, and it was someone young. Unfortunately, it wasn't me, but that's all they did is push the reset button. Oh, my.
Hey,
was
stuff like
hilarious.
that happens. I mean, today, even in this era, high-tech era, and whether we have a problem with a computer or a server or something, and this is why I really hate having to contact somebody from IT, because almost always they say, well, did you try to restart? It's like, oh, come on, man. And I'm telling you, about 95% of the time, if you restart your computer or whatever, then suddenly, for whatever reason, it works. But I don't like that as an answer.
You know what, Bob? It always seems like on the weekends, that's when WNBF has a lot of problems, because this goes back a couple of months ago. I forget what they call it. Those batteries, an unreliable battery backup.
Right.
And that broke down. So Kevin Bixby, here he is trying to help Bill Flynn out on his polka show, and everything went down. And it turned out to be that battery backup.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, my God.
Well,
Same simple things. Oh, by the way, there is one more. You know where IBM Owego is.
Yes.
If you go next door to More Tires, there's a huge plaza back there, and if I remember right, I think it was either Acme or Grandway.
Oh, really? I don't think I knew about that.
I don't think it was Grand. I think
Yeah.
I think it might have been an Acme. That's
I
not.
think so.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Acme was...
They had a few stores around.
Yeah,
It wasn't
they also
big.
had one on Conklin Avenue in Binghamton.
Yes.
And then eventually that became a Grand Union with the Red Dot Special.
Right.
Good
they-
old alternate.
There was an
Big
Acme in
fan.
Halstead. There might have been an Acme up in Whitney Point.
What you remember, Jesse, the James Way over on 17C
Yeah.
across from the Treadway?
Yes.
And just before that, if I remember right, it was the Family Bargain Center.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because I was going to say, what was there before
For James-
James Way?
Family Bargain Center. Okay, I didn't know they were in Owego. I mean, I knew about the Binghamton location.
Yep. Now, as a kid, I remember my mother taking me there.
Okay.
That's when I bought my first AM radio, and they had these huge lights shining in the sky, like it was the biggest
Oh,
They
thing
used to
was
do
there.
that all
Yes,
the
that's
time
right,
with
when they
store
opened up,
openings.
yeah.
The spotlights to make it seem like
Okay.
something out of Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. Now, those were the days. And then here on Front Street, I do believe it was called Murray's Furniture or Murray's Store. It was like a
Yes.
3-story building.
Yes, there was a Murray store. Of course, there was Burn Furniture in Owego, too, for a while.
Yeah, right here on the corner. Oh, yeah. That
Right,
place is still falling
right.
apart.
Yep.
So back in
Yep.
the day when you had perhaps a Family Bargain Center, then James Way
Right.
on Route 17C in Owego, across from the beautiful Treadway. What else was there in that plaza? Because remember, I know eventually Phillies opened there, because I'm looking at that's when Philadelphia Sales opened up a store where James Way was, and it was not
Yeah.
there. And I'm looking in the newspaper, 1996. It says discount retail is returning to Tioga County. Philadelphia Sales plans to open its 8th store, and it was in Owego at the former James Way building.
Okay.
So, but I'm trying to think what else was in that plaza back in the day.
There was a deli on the right-hand side is all I can remember, but I don't know who it was.
Because now, of course, you have the Grand Union.
Yes.
You have the Owego Pharmacy.
Yep. There's a Dollar General. There is a Value Dollar.
There's
the
the
Home
hardware
Center.
store. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Because I stopped there many times on the way to work.
yeah. Huh. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to figure a couple of things out. By the way, did you see the Aldi? Those kids are building that Aldi. They're moving so fast. Soon, the Aldi, I think, will be open by the end of the year. So that'll be.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Well, then-
Hey, by the way, Bob, I do have one more question. Did you get that sign yet?
No, it's still in my office, Jesse. I'll bring it next month. Keep reminding me.
Really?
I'll get it. I know right where it
Yeah,
is.
Thank you, Jesse. By the end of the year.
Yes, indeed.
Of course, there's always a possibility I could, flip the story, and sometime I could personally go down
You
to see
could.
you in Owego, and
That's
I might
right.
because I've been every so often I've been threatening to stop by.
Yes,
and
you
see
have.
you since you
Yes.
started your Tioga County job, so
Yeah.
I may do that one
Okay.
afternoon when.
I'm there every Tuesday through Saturday.
All right. 1038 WNBF. The topic today is shopping centers. Shopping centers for 1,000, Alex. Questions. We have questions.
What is a commercial break?
Find out next on WNBF. Bob Joseph along with Gerald Smith talking history, and the focus is on shopping centers and looking through our big stack of history. The groundbreaking for the Grandway at the Binghamton Plaza was on July 31st, 1962.
Right.
Morrow, Galisi, and Theodore Moorer were digging in at the groundbreaking ceremony, according to a picture caption in the newspaper. Shopping center with its biggest retail outlet, Grandway, slated to open March 1st.
March 1st of 63.
Yep, will be built on 23 acres of Stowe Flats, land purchased by Francesco and Vincent Galisi from the city, and their
Which would
company
mean
owns
that
it
Campus
today.
Plaza beat them out by a few months because they opened up in November of 62.
So we have a winner.
Yes.
But I don't know, for some reason now,
You're thinking that doesn't sound right
well, it just,
because we all knew Binghamton Plaza.
what we thought we knew, but Campus Plaza, Stars opened on November 8th, 1962, so there you have it. I mean, the one thing about local newspapers is, and as Barack Hussein Obama found out when he had doubts about where he was born, all he had to do is look it up in the Honolulu Advertiser.
And there it
sure
was.
enough, there it was listed. Mr. and Mrs. Obama,
Right.
Welcome Barack.
1950, 1960, whenever he was born.
60-something.
60-something.
Yeah. And that's, of course, now the newspapers won't even print that.
I know.
He was born, oh my gosh, we missed his birthday. I'm sorry. His birthday was just last week. He just turned 63. So he was
63.
born August 4th, 1961.
Okay.
So thank goodness.
And 2 years after Hawaii became a state.
Yeah. And
Yes.
thank goodness it was in the
The newspaper.
Honolulu Advertiser. So
Yeah. I mean,
is-
that's when births and deaths and marriages were all listed. Of course, you had to pay, but minor detail.
But that was worth it.
Yeah.
So let's see. So one thing we haven't talked much about, Vestal Plaza. Now,
No.
that used to be farmland? Or was that the country club, Vestal Country?
No, that was the Vestal Country Club area. Part of it, because also Binghamton University is on part of that, too,
Oh, okay.
as well as farmland. But that was Brits. Brits was the main anchor store for the Vestal Plaza.
Remember their restaurant?
I do, but I can't think of what
I think it was the William Tally House.
Oh, yes.
I'm not really sure what that meant.
And
but
Sam Page had a bookstore.
that's right, Page's Books.
Page's Books. And Sam Page had been a radio man for many years around here.
Here at WNBF.
Yes.
I think he was on TV sometimes.
You had Gertrude Hawkes was in there. Then you added the Kmart at the end. That was a little later addition. I'm sure there's others. Do I want to say?
Of course, remember, eventually, Tommy Van Scoy.
Oh.
He had a diamond mine, of all things. You'd
I'm
go there.
wearing my wedding band came, and my wife's rings came from
Remember,
Van Scoy's diamond
really?
mine. Yes.
Remember
Tommy Van
Betsy Van
Scoy.
Scoy? Betsy Van
No,
Scoy.
I don't.
She
Tommy,
was-
I remember his voice.
But the thing is,
He was. I used to think he was also Tom Carvel.
I was
but
going to
that's-
say,
yeah.
I still
Could you
believe
tell
that too,
them? Yeah.
because I thought, think about this. We never ever saw
No.
Tom Carvel and Tommy Van Scoy in the same room.
But you heard
So-
their voices. Yeah. Wendy the Witch.
Fudgy the Whale.
There we go.
Now, the more I think about it, sometimes Larry King started to sound that way too.
Yeah.
When he had COVID.
Or Alex Alexander sometimes.
That's right.
I
What I
used
call
to get
that
a phone-
voice was gruff but lovable.
Yeah, yep. He'd call me, Jerry, this is Alex Alexander.
you know
I
who
want you to do a
also-
talk for my group. Okay.
This should
When do
be
you want me
actually
there?
a topic for next month's show, is people with memorable voices, like
Yes.
gruff but lovable.
Sure.
Because remember, Binghamton's police chief, and for many years before he became chief, he was the detective captain. So whenever there was a high-profile crime
You mean
back in the
Joe
day,
Lynch?
yeah,
Yeah, Joe.
and
Joe's wife worked for us for many years in our first ward branch, in a
Foundry
couple of the
Plaza.
branches, Foundry Plaza.
But he had, of all the police chiefs that I've had the pleasure of covering in Binghamton, he had the most memorable,
Oh yeah,
the unique voice.
just gruff.
Yes, but lovable.
Yeah, but
He-
total cop. He was just that was his life.
yeah. And as
And
a young,
some great stories because he told me a few.
well, he lived in the day before social media and how can we put this delicately? Joe Lynch is police chief. That's an act that wouldn't fly in 2024.
That's true.
Not because he was a bad police chief,
Nope.
but because times have changed.
Right, indeed.
So, in a good way.
Yes.
But I still will never forget some of those news conferences. Sometimes, hey, we've got a big news break. That was before the internet, before it was easy to just push send on a news release.
Yeah.
We've made an arrest in a major case, so they would give us a call. Yeah, the chief is going to, or in some cases, the captain will have a news conference down at headquarters, say at 2 o'clock, so come on down. We have some big information for you. Those were the days. Let's see, it's 10:48. Let's squeeze in a couple more calls here.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, I'm on the radio.
Yeah, who is this, Dave from Vestal?
No, this is Bob from Fernando Ford.
Oh, that Bob. For a second there, you sounded like Dave from Vestal. Anyway, what's up? Want to turn down your radio and pose a question for Jerry Smith?
Actually looking at a Stars ad
Right.
from September 6, 1969,
Oh, really?
out of the newspaper. And you can get the current top 40, 45 RPM records for 59 cents a piece. Wow, 500 last.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, whether it was Stars or sometimes Grants and a couple other places, they would do sales for 245s for $1.
Right.
You could get men's loafers for $5 a pair.
Really?
See?
Good times, man. Good times, pizza and subs.
That's right.
I don't want to say I'm a pack rat, but I have tons of old newspapers, way back to the war days, magazines, and, it's amazing the things you see in there.
That's right. Oh, yeah. That's what keeps me in business.
What? That's called history.
Yes, that's right.
That's why
But good prices.
That's why I keep subscribing to the newspaper, so I can have plenty of history for future years. I'll be able to, say, 10 or 20 years from now, I'll be able to know exactly what was going on in Binghamton by looking back on the newspaper that I saved today. Let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air with Jerry Smith. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Kathy from Endicott. There was also Fanny Farmer's candy.
Oh, the chocolates.
Yes. Yes.
I don't remember the other one you mentioned, but I know there was Fanny Farmer. And
Yes.
also, by Fanny Farmer's, there was a tall girl shop. So if you were tall and a lady, you could get clothes that actually were long enough for you.
Okay.
Yep. And then there was an outlet store of women's clothes, and I can't remember the name. It was some designer, but that was in there for a while.
Oh,
okay.
didn't they have some kind of a bar?
Oh, yes.
Around back. There was some kind of a bar.
We weren't allowed to go back.
No, I never went
I
there.
don't know.
My
But there
sibling-
were
pull
shops
from my
out back.
brain
There was a
right now.
barber shop out back there, too.
Yep.
what is that, Arturo's?
Could be.
I don't know. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. WNBF, you're on the air with Jerry Smith. Good morning. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. Jerry, this is Lou from Endicott.
Okay.
I think, was Sugarman's before Stars or after Stars?
After. Stars went pulled out, and Sugarman's took the spot.
In between, there was Ein Drug.
Well, Sugarman's is Einendrag.
Yeah, but it was Ein.
Oh, that's right. It was
Yeah.
Einendrag
And then it
before
became
they
Sugarman's.
Before that's right. They were for a short while before they called it Sugarman's.
I believe.
Yeah, we used to go to Route 6.
Yeah, Route 6 down in Einen.
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big
And,
store.
What about Grant's?
Yes, there was Grant's in
Well,
Binghamton Plaza, but the big store that they opened was in Westover called Grant Shopper City. Grant
Right.
City.
Right.
And that was huge.
where
That
Home
store.
Depot is.
Yes. And right
Home
now it's
Depot.
what's the name
Home
of that
Depot.
discount store? Though it's not
Oh,
Home
Ollie's.
Depot. Ollie's.
But Ollie's is Home Depot's on the side of the Grant City.
Okay, so
Right, yeah.
but that was at the time, I think, the biggest store ever built. It was 150,000
Yeah,
square
it
feet.
was. It was huge. Because Grant's had been around. Well, they had Grant's was in Binghamton on Court Street for many years. And there was a Grant's in Shenango Plaza. There was a Grant's in Binghamton Plaza. Let's see. But you're right. Grant City was by far much larger than the other chain stores.
Well, it was bigger. It was bigger than Wegmans is. Wegmans right now is about 135,000 square feet.
I mean, if you compare it to like Westons and Stars and some of the other stores, Philly Sales.
I remember as a kid going with my dad to the nut store that just closed, and then we'd go around the corner to the Mohegan Market where I first saw.
Oh, on Shenango Street.
Yep, a live chicken. Across the street was the Strand in the Riviera and Allen's Sporting Goods.
Okay. Yes.
And then we'd go down to Sears Roebuck.
Right.
I don't know what's there now. And then on the way home, we'd go to, Glenwood Bakery on the way home from Binghamton back to Endicott.
Okay.
Where was that? Was Glenwood Bakery near Sharky's?
Yeah, I think it was right around the corner.
Yes.
You had to walk down the sidewalk, I think.
Okay.
No, do you think they should reopen Sharky's?
Yes.
I do too. What do you think, Jerry?
I think so too.
Okay, we have 3 votes to reopen Sharky's.
We just have to find someone to purchase it and open it up.
Sure.
No
Red's
problem.
Kettle Inn, too.
Which?
Red's Kettle
Oh,
Inn.
yes.
Oh, yeah. 93 CFJ
right,
Boulevard.
and
By the way, that's still on the market. I talked with Wally. It's his listing. So if you know anybody, I think they lowered the price to $2.99.
Really?
And here it is. It's been just over a year
It's a
since
shame
it closed.
only because of the owner's accident and
because he wanted to reopen.
Yeah, because that's a family-run business.
Family business.
Yeah, and so much history there. I mean, that operated, the family operated that for more than 8 decades.
Yep.
And Sharky's, the wood booths, the wooden booth seats and the booth. And I have friends that come up from the South that always wanted to go to Sharky's.
Remember they had the little things for the jukebox at every booth?
Yes.
Yeah, and they had, they always, they had fried smelt, and they had Speedies.
And clams.
Fried clams, yeah.
And steamed clams. You could get 3 dozen for $1.
Yeah, they were there since the 40s, I think.
Yeah, yep.
No kidding.
Yeah, good times. Thank you, Lou, for the memories.
Yes.
So we've decided, and the Flash apparently official, it's just been decided by WNBF's Binghamton Now program.
Yes.
Jerry, Bob, and Lou, we've decided they should reopen Sharky's.
I think so, too.
56 Glenwood Avenue. Well,
I already said that.
Good
But
news.
I'm saying it again.
Thank you. Okay, you'll be back sometime in September, I guess.
As
the song says, see you in September.
I would think so.
All right, that's all the time we have. Stay tuned to WNBF for more surprises. All are welcome to contribute. As we look back on the past hour, we were talking about shopping centers. And some email came in while Jerry was here. I'm just getting to it now. Hadn't been paying very close attention to the email. Should have been. Well, Jerry was here. Jean writes from Vestal, hello, Bob and Jerry. The barber shop at Vestal Plaza was Arto's. Well, I was close. I called it Arturo's. And there was also Mario's Pizza near that. Have a good day. Thank you, Gene. Hope you have a good day. Bill writes, Ollie's was another Acme grocery store. I kind of remember that. Kind of. Highway Fruit Market. How long was it there? Alan from Binghamton. It's a good question. I don't recall exactly. Thank you, Dave from Binghamton. Dave from Binghamton contributed something very interesting. I think I'm going to save that. I may save that for the next time Jerry Smith is here, because you sent that in with about 20 minutes left in the segment, but I missed it. That would be worth discussing. John from Binghamton writes, when we were having memory issues about the restaurant at the campus plaza, John did correctly identify that as the Villa, as I eventually figured out from cheating. I try not to cheat during our history segment unless it's absolutely necessary, but occasionally I will look stuff up. So thank you, John. John also pointed out the town distributors. My recollection is there were 2 locations. There's one in Binghamton, and there's also one in Endicott. I think the one in Endicott was on Broad Street, I think just to the west of the post office. Town distributors. They had a catalog. And back when catalog shopping was a thing, whether it was town distributors, Sears, Montgomery Ward, who else had catalogs? I don't know. J.C. Penney, did they do catalogs? It probably did. Present Company had a catalog. There's some other, what was the place? Oh, Service Merchandise in Johnson City on Reynolds Road, where that Furniture Hut is now. The people that paint their Furniture Hut purple. So just a few of the lingering retail memories from back in the day around here. Anyway, enjoyed the contributions last hour from our listening audience. Remember, Jerry will be on in September. He's now typically on the second Monday of the month, so circle September 9th in your radio guide. That's when Jerry Smith is scheduled to be back. Morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, Carol from JC. How about Boardman catalog was before Town Distributors? They were downtown Binghamton, near where Binghamton Savings Bank parking lot, or the buildings next to the Binghamton Savings Bank parking lot going towards Hawley. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember the business. I don't remember it being specifically there in Binghamton, because back in that era, I seldom made it to Binghamton.
Because you're not as old as you think you are.
No, that's true. Relatively speaking, I'm a young little radio guy. But remember with the Boardman, now that I think about Boardman, is that what it was, Boardman?
Yep, absolutely.
Remember they had...
I'm sitting in BJ's parking lot. I just got a hot dog and a soda, and I just turned the radio on, and you were finishing up. I don't know, I didn't catch the whole thing of what you were saying. But,
yeah. So...
Go ahead.
Boardman, they had this guy. Do you remember the guy? It was just a sketch of some guy. I don't know if that was the founder, but always in their ads and I think in their catalogs, they had this guy, and he had some kind of, I don't know if it was an Irish cap and then like a scarf. Do you remember anything like that?
No, I don't. I just remember something like that by having to do with a gasoline station. With that Irishy or Scottish.
Yeah. Did you hear at the end where Jerry and I and Lou from Endicott, we decided that they should reopen Sharky's on Glenwood Avenue?
Oh, I heard that.
What do you think? Do you agree?
Well, if they could find a responsible person to run it, but the whole thing also talking about Red's Kettle Inn, I have to say this. Right on the sign, it says 1942, established 1942.
Yeah.
So that's 82 years.
And before it was Red's Kettle Inn, it was just the Kettle Inn. Before the family bought it, yeah, there was because it was founded, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was founded around 1934, and when they started out, it was just the Kettle Inn, and then when the family bought it in 1942, that's when they renamed it Red's Kettle Inn.
And because he had red hair. Did you know that?
I had heard that.
Because I know a family member who's a nephew had and a nephew and a niece. The niece I went to school with. Her hair was orangey red. It was striking, freckles. So, and her mother was a sister to Anthony Subject the First.
All right. Well, I'm looking up the thing. When I say the thing, in this case, I'm looking up Jerry Smith's column in the newspaper from about 2 years ago. He did a nice dive into the history of the Reds Kettle Inn site, and that newspaper column said Reds Kettle Inn site was always iconic in Johnson City. And he said, this discussion ramped up a few weeks ago during one of my monthly radio spots with Bob Joseph on WNBF radio. A listener called in and asked which of the three popular restaurants and bars was oldest. And he said, my guess was Red's Kettle Inn, but Bob proved me wrong in that it had a grand opening in June 1949. But then, as you pointed out, there were other circumstances before, going back earlier in the decade. But as Jerry pointed out in his column, he said in 1934, it is the Kettle Inn that
I
opened.
do remember somebody saying that there was another bar there previous to the
well, that's what it was.
Family.
And it says an ad from 1934 shows it was open all night on New Year's Eve for the dancers at the George F. Pavilion across the street.
Interesting.
Says, listen to this. It is this Kettle Inn that George F. attended, and that the Katlewski family, because it was originally opened by Katlewski.
Katlewski.
Yeah, Katlewski. Yep.
Right, because one of my relatives. One of my relatives with the same last name as me married a Katlewski.
All right, so it was Lewis and Mary Katlewski opened the place up, and listen to this. It gets even more intriguing. So they operated the place in Johnson City, and as Jerry wrote in the paper 2 years ago, there was a second Kettle Inn on Cotellville Road in the town of Shenango. But apparently there was no connection. Then in 1944, the Katlewskis sold the property to Anthony Sobiek and his wife, Lottie. Sobieks operated the facility under the same name till 1949, and that's when Red's Kettle Inn had its grand opening using Anthony's nickname. So there you go.
Well, my father used to take me there on Sunday afternoons when my brother was an infant, so my mother would have some freedom, from the two of us. So I basically grew up in that place, playing nickel pinball and things like that. But so 1940, I would have remembered something like that. I would have been 8 years old then. Did it say what month it happened, or just the year?
So nope. So and then there's a sign.
Anyway.
Because remember, they had that nice sign for so long on the corner of the building where it said, Red's Kettle Inn, hot pies every night. Not pizza,
I think
hot pies.
I was an adult when I stopped saying hot pies. I could not make myself say pizza.
And then it said, in addition on that big sign, which was there for so long, it also at the top said spaghetti dinners from 4 p.m. I never had a spaghetti dinner at Red's Kettle Inn, but I had hot pies.
I never did either. Oh, I just remembered the relative. It was my grandfather's sister. My grandfather's sister married a Katlewski.
All right. Well, maybe they're listening.
Well, I was just going to say that. I hope somebody
what I've learned, Carol, what I've learned about you is at any given time, there are guaranteed to be either some of your relatives or some of your friends listening to the program.
Well, just yesterday, I was talking to a complete stranger, and we were in line or doing something where I had an opportunity to speak with him, and he said, "Are you the Carol that calls the radio station? I recognize your voice."
Are you going to the baseball game tomorrow?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. There's a doubleheader, I do believe. Oh, and the invitation is still open. Going to Portland, September 9th.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could.
I wish
can't
you could,
make
too.
It. I've got friends there, and they've been demanding
Bob.
that I show up.
Do you know how to drive standard shift?
No. No, and I'm not. I have in the past, so I kind of know, but I never got comfortable, and I'm certainly not gonna. I'm not gonna practice my standard shift driving knowledge traveling between Binghamton and Portland. That's for sure.
So that means we can't take turns driving.
Nope. No, and besides, I have to be here. I have to be here at the station.
And people that think they know me, I'm going to say something, and then they'll know for sure it's me. I've never owned an automatic since 1960.
There you go. I commend you. Hope you have a great day.
You as well.
All right. Baseball games. Baseball. Ooh, Rumble Ponies back tomorrow. And if you can't make it to the games, of course, you can hear them all here on News Radio, WNBF 92.1 FM and 1290 AM with Jacob Wilkins. So they will be starting a 7-game series against the Sea Dogs tomorrow night. Of course, that's the Boston AA team. So for those of you who love the Red Sox, you'll probably want to see at least some of the Portland games. So tomorrow is a doubleheader with the first pitch at 5:35. And then, of course, I believe, pretty sure the doubleheaders are all 7-inning games. So a couple games tomorrow night on the station, as well as games later in the week. Hey, maybe I'll see you at the stadium. If you hear me, that's the weird thing. I'll be at the stadium. You might not see me, but you'll probably hear my voice because I'm told my voice carries. That's what people tell me. Bob, everybody can hear you. Well, I'm not speaking that loudly. Yes, but everybody in the stadium can still hear you. 607-772-1290. Bob Joseph, live and local with Binghamton Now on WNBF. Let's go back to the phones on your Monday morning. Paul in Owego, you're on the air.
Hello, Bob. How we doing?
Doing well.
Good one for you. That Jesse must have had a few too many Keystones. If he doesn't remember, it was the Victory Plaza, and it was a Great American store. And next to that, they had a bakery. The right separate from the store called the Hearth. And I think Jesse must have had one too many Keystones. I couldn't remember that. It's next to the Owego Bowl.
Okay, well, now that makes more sense. That's more in keeping with my memory. The thing is, now as I look way back, so over on 17C where James Way was, tell me if you remember, do you have any recollection of what year that little plaza was built?
That was built in 65. I think it opened in 66. I was 12 years old. I actually won the color TV, and, well, that was the grand prize. It was a Zenith color TV, and because my name ended in a vowel, they decided to give me the smallest gift instead of the largest one. And that came from one of the cashiers that had worked there for 30 years. She told my father that. But look, they've been trying to pigeonhole me all my life, Bob. You know, it's not going to happen that easily. But I got to tell you, my friend Jesse should have remembered that. The Dutch Hearth was the name of the bakery next to it. And they also had a gas pumps there called U-Film.
Oh, I remember U-Film. Those were good gas stations. And the thing about that's before Joe Biden raised the price of gas. Remember how cheap the gas was then?
Oh, it was 26 cents a gallon.
That's what I'm saying. Now look at it. It's like $3.50, $3.60 a gallon. You know, I want to go back to the good old days when U-Film, you could afford gas.
Look at it. Cost me. I had a 1966 VW. Okay, and I filled it up at U-Film for $3. It didn't have hardly had a drop in it. I'm
Plus, it was good gas because it was filled with lead. Now they charge you more for unleaded. Back when they were, you fill them in stations like them, Hess and all that stuff. And what was Rotary? Those were good stations. They're charging 25 or 26 cents a gallon. Plus, the lead was in. So, when they say get the lead out, you didn't have to worry about that. It was already in.
Get this one, Bob. My uncle, Tony Cavez, great guy. When they came out with the less beer, he goes, can you imagine these people pay more for less? You got to have your head examined.
That's my point. It's outrageous. It's outrageous, I tell you. Anyway, I appreciate your call. Keep me posted. That's the story right now from Owego, making contemporary news. It's 11:32 on this Monday morning with lots and lots of juicy content. This is the juiciest radio show you're going to find today. Vinny from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Hey, Bob, you forgot, though. Back then, when gas prices were cheap, we were making $2.65 an hour.
Oh, good point.
Remember that, too?
Good point. Yeah, never mind. Strike what I said from the record. Obviously, I was only telling part of the story. Thanks to Vinny, in the historic fashion of Paul Harvey, now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I got to talk politics here for a second. I didn't really see Donald Trump's whole thing down there in Mar-a-Lago where he's, press conference and stuff like that. But I do like to talk about the one part where he talked about Willie Brown and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, I heard Reverend Al Sharpton say this the other day. He goes, we may have asked the wrong old man to get off the stage. Because, Bob, I'm going to tell you, something's wrong. How you can sit there, it's not only were you wrong about the person, you were wrong about the whole situation. You were wrong about him telling you. I mean, it was a big lie. Oh, you should have heard the stuff that he talked about Kamala Harris. That didn't even happen. But, yeah, it happened. And it's really, I almost said weird, but I did say weird.
No, don't do that. Don't say weird. If anybody's going to say weird here, it's going to be Weird Al Yankovic.
But it's strange. What's going on with this guy? How are you just going to make up this stuff? President of the United States just going to make up this stuff, talk about these meetings that never happened. Well, it did happen. But this guy, what made it worse was, at least Willie Brown was dating Kamala Harris. This guy has nothing to do with Kamala Harris. He was there. You said he was scared. He said, no, it was you that was scared. And we didn't talk anything about Kamala Harris. So what's he talking about? Why are you making up this stuff? And that's a problem. That's a big problem. I know, the Trumpers don't want to talk about, but guys, it's a problem. Because remember,
But maybe they like it. Did it ever occur to you that they know full well what's going on and sort of they're in on the joke? I bet they're laughing all the way to the banks.
Well, I guess when I'm, like I said before, Bob, I'm just thinking, you Trumpers, I know, look, he already told you who you guys are. Donald Trump already told the whole country, the whole world, who his people are. He talked about walking down Fifth Avenue and doing all that stuff, and they'd still vote for me. I understand that. I'm just basically talking to the Chris Christie people, the Never Trumper people, the Nikki Haley people, the Mike Pence people. Those are the people I'm talking to. And it's too bad for them that the man did not show up for the Republican debates. Because I think we'd be in a different situation right now. I really do. I think they would have gone after him like you wouldn't believe. And I think he knew that.
So if he showed up for the debates, and of course we all agree he should have, who do you think the party would have wound up choosing as its nominee?
I think Nikki Haley had a great shot.
See, that's the thing. I think so too. And I have no control over this, but I would relish a debate or three presidential debates this September, maybe September and early October, between Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris. Those would be excellent debates.
I think it would. And Bob, historic. Very historic.
Two highly talented women, two accomplished women who are respected within their parties and in some cases even respected by people outside their political party, who have shown great talent, great skill, tremendous intelligence, excellent poise. To have two of them running for president of the United States in 2024, that would be a major, major breakthrough.
Oh, I agree. But I think, like I said before, I think she blew it. I think she blew it endorsing Donald Trump the way she did. And like, she's fighting with those never Trumpers, the Nikki Haley people. She goes, stop using my name. They said, forget you. We're not voting for this guy. That's why we voted for you. But you did the usual political thing. You cut our throats. So we're going the other way. And I think there's a lot of them. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of Republicans that don't want him to win. They want their party back, is what they do, but they can't get it.
But you know what? They will get it. They'll get their party back starting November 6th. Well, the process will begin, sort of the healing process and the return to reality for the GOP will commence probably on the morning of November 6th after the election results have been processed. And then the Republican Party will begin sort of a rebuilding phase where they'll become a well-respected party again.
Yeah. Bob, I do feel sorry for her, and I've said this before. I said that at the very beginning. I don't feel sorry for the Republicans. I don't feel sorry for the Trumpers. I do feel kind of for JFK. Robert Kennedy. I said it before. I was watching a editorial. No, it was something on, I think it was Prime. It was on Robert Kennedy documentary. And when he was going against Hubert Humphrey said, "My God," he goes, "going against the Kennedys is like, I feel like I own one store and I'm going up against like a Walmart." No, of course I paraphrased it, but I think the point that he was talking about was all the Kennedy family were in on it. And there's like 1,000 of them. All the wives are in on it, campaigning and having little, breakfast things and luncheonettes and all this kind of stuff. And look at Robert Kennedy Jr. Look at the family. They don't want him. No, we're not going to endorse him. What does that tell you? There's something wrong. No, we're not endorsing him. Whatever he stands for, no. That should have been the sign right there. But here you go. A bear carcass and worms in the head. This is where we're at.
I know. It's a real shame. Thank you. That's the story from Binghamton making contemporary news. Still time for more calls if anybody has something to say. I could also understand, though, because it's so early in the week, you probably haven't had a chance to formulate your thoughts. But if you do have thoughts, I would strongly encourage you now to call 607-772-1290 and we can talk. Coming up on WNBF. DJ in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Before I tell you what I was going to tell you about Saturday night, I was watching the news and Kamala there stole President Trump's idea about the no tax for tips. That blew me away. I couldn't believe it. But nobody's talking about that.
Why would they?
He's like Kramer now. They remember when they stole his idea for the ocean?
By the way, let's be clear. There's no such thing as an original idea.
I just thought of that.
Yeah, I know. But the bottom line is, Donald Trump wasn't the first person to come up with the idea. Kamala Harris wasn't the second person. The idea has been floated around for years. So, to make it sound like Trump invented the idea, oh, come on, man. It's a great idea, except it's not going to work.
His point is she got it from him. But
hey, there are other things that she could point to that she could say he appropriated from her. There is no such thing as an original idea. If they think, and this is bottom line, DJ, The bottom line is the only reason Trump and Harris are talking about not taxing tips is because they think they can get some votes. It's not going to happen. Read my lips. It's not going to happen. Regardless of whether Trump wins or Harris wins, that is not, I have to be more accurate. It's highly unlikely because it's fraught with problems. And I'm not going to go there because the program's nearly over. Anyway, what else were you going to talk about?
Speaking of that, my daughter works for a dentist during the day, but she works for this other job. She got $410 for the night. I wanted to tell you what happened Saturday night that blew my mind. I couldn't believe it, Bob. It's the most unbelievable. You'll never expect it. I want all the listeners to know. It's called It Ends With Us. Go see it. The movie with Blake Lively. It's made a lot of money. They made back all their money. It Ends With Us. You won't believe this movie, how good it is, and the ending. It's probably the best movie I've seen at all, if not in a long, long time. It was just incredible. People don't like to go to theaters because they think it's expensive, but it's only $6 on Tuesdays.
I don't care what it costs. I don't care if it's $30. I'll go if it's a good movie. If it's a good movie, I'll go see it. I've been trying to decide. I haven't seen a movie lately, and I heard that movie was being pretty well received, and it did really well. I think she and her husband got the top movies over the weekend at the box office. So the two of them, with their different movies, are making a big impression at the theaters right now.
Well, I was talking about your listeners because some of them are frugal. They think they don't,
Oh,
but,
okay. No, I understand. No, that's true. If you're trying to really watch your spending, go to one of the discount movie showings. What are they? Tuesday afternoons?
Tuesdays at the one in Vestal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to put it on my list. Thank you. Let's see. Sharon in Vestal. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to tell everybody and you that this is one of my favorite weeks of the year because today, or actually last night, the Harford Fair started. And it's really a great fair. If anybody's got time and inclination to go across the border a little ways, you'll have a good time.
Okay. Well, thanks for the reminder. Does it run all week?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, here's a little bit of trivia. When I first started in radio in Endicott, first commercial I ever recorded was for the Harford Fair.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah, to me.
We have some good fairs in New York, but Harford is a real old-fashioned, family-oriented fair. I always enjoy it.
All right. Hey, thanks for the reminder.
Mm-hmm. Have a good weekend.
You too. 1146 WNBF, Beverly from the town of Dickinson. You're on the air.
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
Great. What's going on?
Oh, I just wanted, did you hear anything on the Spot restaurant?
Yeah.
No. Why? Did it reopen?
No, I was just wondering because all the signs, their signs are down and stuff, and I was just worried if you heard maybe if somebody's moving in or.
Well, the only thing that I'm keeping my finger crossed is for a Chick-fil-A, because I think, there's been so much speculation about a Chick-fil-A over at the Oakdale Commons. I think the first one should go up on Front Street, and wouldn't that surprise everybody? And wouldn't you go and get one of those chicken sandwiches?
Yeah.
All right. So let me know if you see them trucking in a bunch of frozen chickens. That's probably the first indicator. Okay.
All right. Okay. Have a good day.
1147 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Still water in the lines. Residual water from the storms on Friday. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Vic from the Forks. How you doing, Bob?
Great, Vic. What's up?
I was listening to the conversations about Kamala from your last caller, and people seem to forget that she was the deciding vote when they decided to tax people who worked in the industry. So that being said, and the fact that she is parroting Trump, people need to realize she's only parroting him with the pro-fracking statement that she made. She's only parroting Trump to take votes away from Trump, which all politicians are going to do, but she's not going to follow through on that because she's already sworn to all electric vehicles, stopping all oil and gas production, going all electric here in the United States. Kamala.
Oh, just like Trump. He's supporting electric vehicles now, too.
Well, why wouldn't he support?
Well, he had been against electric vehicles, and now it's clear, now he's copying Kamala Harris by supporting electric vehicles.
That's not what he said. Trump said that if you want an electric vehicle, you should be able to have one.
Yeah, and the reason he said it is because Elon Musk is supporting him. Before that, he was pretty much dead set against electric vehicles, but now that he's getting support from Elon Musk, he's changed his tune.
Bob, he was dead set against electric vehicles being forced upon the American public. That's what he was against. Like, you got Governor Cuomo wanting to go all electric.
Well, you know it's not going to happen. Oh, come on, man. Electric vehicles aren't going to be forced on you and me. You and me, Vic, for the rest of our lives, will always be able to drive a gas-powered or a diesel-powered vehicle if we want to.
Do you know, Bob, that 300,000 tons of solar panels are going into United States and other countries' waste sites? Toxic. They're toxic waste. They're 100 times more toxic than nuclear waste, and yet.
Yeah, except they're not going to kill as many people as nuclear waste could. So, yeah, they might be toxic, but it's highly unlikely that the waste from solar power-related materials could cause the same kind of human health catastrophe that nuclear waste could.
And I remember when doctors endorsed cigarettes as the common...
Yeah, I know. Trust me. It's all about the money. Thank you, Vic. WNBF, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Grant in town of Maine.
Morning, Grant. You're on the air. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to say that you can't tax tips if they're not reported, number one. And number two, Social Security can't be taxed because it was already paid taxes on once. And that's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. More calls, more often. This is the lightning round where people get in just under the wire. Hi, what's on your mind? What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Jesse from Owego. And you know what? There's not enough Keystone, but I'm trying to bring Zima back if you'll work with me, Bob.
Zima. Come on, man. WNBF. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Windsor. Paul from West Windsor.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I think the question everybody should ask is who would they want as commander-in-chief if we go to war? And isn't that an important question to ask before you vote? Who would you want to control the armed forces, Trump or Kamala?
J.D. Vance.
Well, that's a pretty good choice too. But I like Trump because he knows all about the armed forces.
Yeah, he knows how to get out of doing service to his country. So yeah, that's absolutely correct. He knows a lot about how to avoid having to head out and do his service to this great country. So yeah, he knows how to get out of his responsibility.
Each of your listeners should ask themselves that question that you just answered. You like J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance all the way, baby.
Yes, well, each of your customers should ask themselves that question. Who would they want if we went to war?
An excellent point. I appreciate it. Like I say, J.D. Vance all the way, baby. And people are saying, but Bob, how much did he pay you to say that? Hey, don't go there, sister. I don't have to divulge. Wait, I do. I signed something. Okay, so here's the truth. Because I signed something that said I would have to divulge if somebody paid me something for a statement like that. J.D. Vance has paid me nothing. Nothing. It's true. He hasn't. J.D. Vance all the way. It's 11:53. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Matt from Binghamton. I want to answer your last caller. I want Donald Trump to never be close to the nuclear codes again. He's the guy who, when he was, after president-elect, and they had the period in between when he became president, and they had joint chiefs of staff meeting, all these people, he asked several people, if we have all these nuclear weapons, why can't we use some of them? That's who I don't want to be anywhere near the presidency. And I just don't know. What's any speculation on what Donald Trump, they send me all these messages all the time. Does he have some secret announcement coming on his interview with, is he going to get rid of J.D. Vance or something? I don't know. He's touting some special secret.
Well, I think he is going to make a big announcement tonight, so I know I'll be tuning it in. So if say he does dump J.D. Vance, which I don't think, because the more I have thought about it, the more I'm liking J.D. Vance. But say if Trump has decided that he needs a better running mate, who do you think would be best?
No, he's too well, if it happened, I mean, he'd be smart to pick Nikki Haley. But if he's just too much of a narcissist. He'll never admit he made a mistake, so I don't think that's it. But
I don't think he would get along well with Nikki Haley. I think she would have been a great presidential candidate for the Republicans. I think having a competition in November with Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris would be the type of presidential election that this country needs, but it's not the type of election that we're going to get this year.
Oh, I agree with you. I don't think he'll. Maybe he's going to quit.
Well, there you go. But that would put the party in a real pickle. What then?
Maybe he's brokered a secret deal that if I decide to end my presidency, all the prosecutions that I deserve will stop.
Okay, I would support that. I would support that state and federal prosecutors agree if Donald Trump decides that he will not seek another term in the White House, that they shut down all prosecutions immediately. It's all the time we have right now. I'm kidding, folks. You're listening to Bob Joseph, WNBF.